very busy schedule to be here. Before we start, I just wanted you all to have a look at a PPT we have presented and a few facts for us to maybe start the discussion on. So as I say, we have these 7 C's of leadership, inclusive leadership traits: cognizance, curiosity, cultural intelligence, collaboration, commitment, and courage. So I hope to touch upon all these points during the discussion. And so we are going to talk about how leaders can demonstrate a clear commitment to diversity, starting from the top, the front line. You will lead by example. Okay, a survey by Indeed has revealed that 88% of Indian employees are contacted outside work hours, with 85% even during sick leave on holidays. So 8 in 10 employers support a right to disconnect policy to address stress and burnout, highlighting generational differences in attitudes. That's about our work-life balance point, which we are going to talk about. And the next point I will point out is David Grossman, in his book, The Cost of Poor Communications, indicated an average loss of $62.4 million per year for companies employing around 1 lakh people due to inadequate internal communication. This is about our point about open communication culture in the industry. So with that, may I invite all the GMs on the dais. The lady first, Ms. Amandeep Kaur. Please, a huge round of applause for, I think, yeah, thank you. We have Mr. Anirudhya Roy, the GM from Vivanta, Bengaluru. You can leave one seat for me and take a second. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Somnath Sinha, the GM from Fern, Residency, Yeshwanthpur. Mr. Parag Shah, GM from Grand Mercure, Bengaluru. Mr. Vinesh Gupta, GM, the Den, Bengaluru. And Mr. Gaurrav Shiva from GM, Royal Orchid, Bengaluru. A huge round of applause for them. So before I start, all right. Hello, yeah. So once again, a very good evening. Actually, it's not yet evening, but sometime between afternoon and good evening. Thank you very much for being here, for sparing your busy scheduled times to this exposition. As you know, at every panel discussion, at the GM's panel discussion, we try to take a topic which is not really discussed. In fact, when I researched on the topic, not much information came up, which is what I got. I put it on the PPT. So we'll dive straight into the discussion. Like I said, visible commitment. So inclusive leadership from the top. Lead by example. So we'll start with you, Mr. Shiva. What are your thoughts on this?
So just a quick brief about myself. I've been with hotels for more than 28 years, and the first 15 were as a chef. I was with the Taj Group of Hotels for more than 8 years. And then I moved with Accor Hotels, and the lovely hotel that Parag is managing now, I used to be the general manager of that hotel perhaps 11 years back. It's so amazing to see you. So one thing which I learned very early in my life as a chef was the fish always stinks from the head. And if you have got the head right, then everything else is going to fall into place. So whenever we speak about inclusion, diversity, equity, etc., you always have to lead by example. And it is just not about having some fluff that you just speak about. It is about being on the floor day in and day out, working with your team members and ensuring that they're well looked after at each and every point of time. Well, all the GMs in the room will really agree that, you know, we work very, very long hours, and we have a very, very stressful life at times. We may be well dressed, but at times we are stressed as well. But that, you know, that focus on our team members and you know, the kind of work that we do has to be something that really stands out. It is something that, you know, you are with your team, be it front of the house, be it back of the house, ensuring that you remember those small things about the birthdays of your team members, going up to them, wishing them up, ensuring that, you know, you celebrate the small moments of joy. It can be, you know, birth of a child of your team member, or a housewarming of one of your team members, or just ensuring and just giving them a pat on their back. I mean, like, a lot of hotels do a lot of things in terms of employee engagement, and we all have been seeing that. But one thing that I've seen here at Royal Orchid Hotel here in Bangalore is we do something called as a Thank You Thursday, which happens to be today, wherein all the heads of department and me, we observe who has been the star performer, who really stands out. And not to talk about the names which are being mentioned on the TripAdvisor or the other portals, but genuinely you feel that someone is really walking that extra mile, we go ahead and say thank you to them. So I would really agree that it really starts from the top, and being a part of the workforce, you know, living each and every moment of it, and I think that is the key.
Thank you, Gaurav, and thank you for my short introduction as well. And I'm very happy to be at Grand Mercure, Bangalore, which used to be taken care of by Gaurav quite a few years ago. And I'm very happy to be in Bangalore. I just recently moved from Hyderabad. Just a little bit brief about me. I have been with Kaur for the last 14 years. I've worked with different brands, different cities, and now I'm in Bangalore. Ma'am, to answer your question, with regards to diversity and inclusion, I think it should not be a program as such. It should be more like it's like a mindset, you know, and especially our industry is evolving every day, you know. Like I have been working with the industry for last good 20 years, and way back when I joined the industry, the women workforce in the industry was not as how it's evolving these days. And all the brands supporting diversity and inclusion, I think it's a great initiative. So all the team members who work in the industry, they understand, you know, you know, where you can, you know, put yourself across. So it's a great initiative with a lot of brands. And like I totally agree with Gaurav, it starts with from top to down, and you lead by the example. And that's what we follow at Grand Mercure Bangalore as well, to ensure, you know, my day starts with actually walking into every corner of the building, wishing every single team member in the hotel, you know, and then that brings smile on their face. So, you know, that's something which little differently I try and do it. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Mr. Sinha, what about your brand? How do they go about it? Inclusion from the top.
Okay, so good afternoon all. So my thought on that is, as my fellow panelist already said, that you know it is something. It starts with the leader and it goes down, and also it has a lot to do with the energy that is there in the team and in the the unit which is there, which is actually been driven by the leader in terms of how you treat each and every staff, how you treat the leaders, next level leaders who are there with you, how you empower them, how you equip them, and as correctly said, the small thing matter. Remembering, that one of your KST staff probably has taken 2 days leave, and when she comes back, just ask her how was the leave. And it actually resonates with them a lot than what that one small question. So it is a complete energy which is there and which actually flows top to bottom across the hierarchy, that defines a lot of how the culture of that unit or that workforce is. And it has to be purely driven and defined by the leader and the leaders down the line. That's how it flows.
Mr. Roy, over.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me over here, Steve. So, first of all, I think everyone comes to work to do a good job. Deep down, everyone has a spark in them to excel. And that is the reason why the need for inclusion begins with. Because many a times what happens is certain associates, certain team members feel marginalized. And it is our duty as leaders to ensure that we bring them into the fold. And to do that, you need to create a system, an ecosphere, which allows it and which fosters it. And that can be only done if you nudge it. And how we do it with the Taj and in our hotels is, like for example, we have mandated employees who are differentially abled. Now it's very important. One thing is to get them into the workforce. It's an even bigger challenge to include them into it. So the only way we can do it is, how we do it is when we create projects, we make it mandatory for people to be from that strata of employees to be included. And not only that, what we also do is we incentivize people for including them in the fold. So what happens is when you display actionable intent, that is when it takes a form of kind of a revolution. And like I said, that everyone has a spark to do a good job. And the advantage of including everyone is that you don't know from where, what kind of contribution will emerge. Because more often than not, we have a confirmation bias of not, of kind of ignoring certain people because of certain special abilities, and therefore it becomes very important to ensure that they get included. And that's what every day we try and do that.
There's also this thing right now in India, at least, there's the awareness about differently abled is kind of broadened, right, to include neurodiversity and, like attention deficit disorders and your autism. So do you see like more acceptability in the industry when you talk about these different segments?
So that's what I said, that it's very important initially to incentivize people to include them, the teams. And there are many ways of doing it. You could make it a part of the KRA, you could make it a part of the yearly bonus payment payouts. Once you start nudging them, they probably grudgingly include them.
Yeah.
But once they get rewarded for doing so, then it becomes a habit. So it's a loop that you need to complete.
Yeah, it has to move from the mandatory to something that's intentional. Yeah.
Correct. And then once they start including them and see the benefit of it, that's when they start embracing it.
Yes. Ms. Amandeep, what is your thoughts? We wanted to have a diverse panel, so that's why I insisted Ms. Amandeep to join.
Thank you so much, Tina, for having me, and lovely to sit here with the colleagues. I think most of it has been covered, and somebody did rightly mention that people's leadership is not a strategy, it's a mindset. I think somebody did mention this before as well. It's a mindset, it's a journey, it's not an output or a result that we're looking at. I think by large, all of us kind of agree and have accepted and is known why so much focus is on diversity and inclusivity. We need a diverse perspectives. We need a broader, diverse segment of people who would come with who will also play a devil's advocate in certain situations to give the solutions. Women has some natural abilities of multitasking, problem resolution, whether at a work front. So XYZ, there is a lot of research, data analysis, which has proved that why the diversity is required. A lot has been spoken and lot has been done in various industries. People are talking about it, coming out. So that's on the diversity and inclusivity. Talking about the generation today, the people we're working with, I think it's no more about the paychecks. For us, a lot of us, I think, worked for paychecks. It's not only about that. For this generation, they want recognition, they want to be valued. And I think that's why probably we are talking here as a panel on this topic. So when we say it's a journey and we accept it that, you know, it has to be a mindset change, I think when I talk from a leadership position and from leaders, what we do, I think what we can do is, it's our job, it's our moral duty to give this strategy to the team, to tell what the vision is. It's our job. It is our moral duty to tell the team what strategy is, what the vision is. But as a leaders, we should give them some free hand to use their tactics to achieve that vision. How we can do is of course changing the mindset with a lot of things which my colleagues have mentioned, but it becomes a little challenging when it's not backed by the strong policies by the organization. Because the mindset change has to come from the leadership and the organization vision itself. I'll give you a couple of examples when, you know, I've been with ITC Hotels for 23 years now, very proud to say so. As a woman, always found myself valued, recognized. That's an intentional part of it. How we are evolving with the processes, I'll just touch upon a few policies. Like for women, you know, as we evolved in the system, the organization actually weaved in a policy which recognized the special needs of women working with us. For example, sabbatical period and security of the job after coming back. A woman at the leadership position or at various positions need to travel, who is a nursing mother, probably need to have a caretaker, form of a caretaker or a helper or a mother or a mother-in-law or any family member who needs to travel. So actually taking care of that needs as well, that you can take, an organization will take care of this. So and the policies such as those. Another fine example of the policies driven from the organization converting to intent and the culture of the organization is very proud to talk about a project Noor. Everybody speak about diversity, we talk about diversity, we want to have an inclusion. We spoke about getting LGBTQIT community to the workplace, apart from PWDs, especially abled people. How did we go about it? Did we just set a number that, you know, these are the numbers we want to be inducted from that community? No. We started the project Noor. We started not inducting people straight away from the community. It started with people from the community coming and training the first leaders of the hotels, talking about the biology behind this community, educating the team, building the acceptance, building the awareness you spoke about. Second step, to build the infrastructure required by this community. Do we have a you know, neutral sex washrooms, lockers,
Yeah,
you know, the washrooms, XYZ requirement. And then we move to the third step, which is defining the induction process for these people. So what it does is it impacts the culture. It directly impacts the culture. Apart from all the engagement activities that you of recognizing them, I think it's our duty and responsibility as a leaders that if we really have an intention to put people in the business centricity, there has to be strong policies to back that in. So that's how we go about it in ITC Hotels.
Yeah, and
I
just
think
like
I took a long time because
I know, I think that's made a point. And before I go to Mr. Gupta, it's just off the record. You know, recently the world's one of the most powerful democracies has given its mandate on diversity in very strong points. And it has actually taken the diversity mandate like 5 years or 10 years backwards. So, I mean, have you all seen any change in especially hotel brands which are from overseas? Do you see any difference in the way people are looking at diversity?
You know, well, if you ask me, I think it's a very emotive issue. When we talk about diversity, we we see diversity from a very small or a microscopic lens. But if you see the meaning of diversity, inclusivity is, beyond just LGBTQI+. It's beyond disabilities or special abilities. It's beyond ethnicities. And a lot of companies are doing a lot, working on that. To answer your question specifically, yes, certain things have moved backwards in certain democracies, but I'm not sure if private sector is affected or if we are affected with that. It's like moving a 40-feet container. It takes a lot of energy to put it into motion. Once it's in the motion, it's rolling.
Yes.
And I think at the moment it's rolling. And when I say it's an emotive issue, I'll give you an interesting example internationally now. We are an Israeli company in Israel. Predominantly, the workforce is Jewish. We are one of the companies, we have 25% Arabs in it. Now, how do you replace? You are, they're a part of your ecosystem. When we talk about diversity, when we opened up this hotel in India, we said, no two leaders. If there are 8 leaders in the hotel, no 2 leaders come from the same region, same ethnicity, and try to include from a broader spectrum from all the groups in India. And we were very successful in doing that. So when the foundation is laid right, it follows. Now, example, I have 3rd gender washrooms in the hotel. A lot of international hotels have it. Just because there are certain things which are happening across the world, those will not just go away. They'll not vanish. So this will remain. And the biggest challenge which sometimes we discuss, and we discuss in our company very openly, is when we start talking about DEI, when we start talking about inclusivity, we are actually doing a disservice because everybody's equal. They have all the right to do the same job as we are doing. I am also the small finger in my company. I have many more intelligent people in my company than me. That doesn't make me irrelevant. So when we talk about neurodisabilities, when we talk about physical disabilities or special abilities, or when we talk about autism, I think they are superb and they are very, very intelligent people. Nobody can deny the right of employment from them. So, I would not see that. I would not see the instances or let's say certain things which have happened in, like you said, the largest democracy or the most vibrant democracy, certain statements coming out, pulling us back on this agenda.
What will we start again backwards from you? Like, what about empowering teams, like upskilling them? What is the kind of policies that you all follow as leaders for motivating teams, to give their best performance?
I'll go a decade plus back. I remember when, not a decade, I think it's about more than 15, 16 years back, I used to be with the Taj. They used to have something called Delegation of Authority Manual. So I don't know if they still exist or not, Mr. Roy. So, everything was delegated. You at this level can do this. You at this level can do this. You at this level can do that. Today, the things have moved to a very different level. I'll give you an example of a very small restaurant in Indiranagar. I was dining in a restaurant on a 12th Main, very good restaurant. They had a dish on the menu and they call it a sushi. And it was not a sushi. So the waiter came and asked me, he says, how's the food? I said, amazing. How's the sushi? I said, it's good, but it's not sushi. I said, it's looking like a sushi, but it's tasty. The bill came, it was without that. So I called him, I said, no, this is not done. I liked it, I ate it, you have to charge me. He says, nothing doing so. This is what we do, and that's why people remember us. Now, come to think of it, when we talk about empowerment, there, the baseline team member is empowered to the level to take a call to keep the guest happy. I think that's where the industry is going. Today, as leaders, when we talk about empowerment, it's up to us that we give confidence to our team that whatever you do, we stand behind you. Financials are irrelevant when it comes to empowerment. There is a different way to coach, teach, and learn and unlearn. But the first thing first is that everybody should have a very strong feel that if I take a decision, it would be honored to the T. And we've done that. A lot of times, we as hoteliers are treated as doormats. Today we talk about the guests coming over, talking absolutely irrelevant stuff to the team members at times, behaving in not so polite manner, and there are times when we need to draw a line. If you ask me, I'm very, very clear on this one. I've told my team, take a call. Even if you need to tell the guest that we would advise you not to be with us, it's okay. But the honor of the team member is most important. And that is something, when we talk about empowerment, when we talk about giving, I would say, power or giving responsibility to the team member, when the team member and his pride is protected, I think they feel to a different level of, empowerment. That's what we do.
Mr. Shiva, would you like to
I absolutely agree with what Mr. Gupta has just said. And, I'm on my day 51 at the hotel now. And my team is here with me. And we had a long-staying guest, who was absolutely rude to a tune of just short of abusing my team members. And again, my core of hospitality I've learned from Taj. And I absolutely agree with you. And I just went up to his room and said, you have option 1 this, option 2 this, and that's it. So, no one should be given that opportunity to mistreat our team members. They are at the front line, and we all have been there. So, empowerment, again, being with your team members, giving them a certain amount of freedom to exercise the rights without having the need to come back to, their supervisors and asking for permissions, etc. I mean, we all have seen numerous examples across different chains. I have also started a few of those things here in my hotel, in my new assignment here. But yes, the fact very clearly remains that the self-respect of our team members cannot be compromised at any point of time. It is definitely the paramount. But again, having said that, there is pressures of numbers, and to me, how I see it, it is just another account. It's just a couple of room nights that I have to look at a replacement business. So I would absolutely agree with Vinesh.
have Taj's perspective on this? Yeah, empowering teams. Ah. No. Maybe you can use another mic.
No, I think this is. So the problem statement is empowerment, right? So my take on this subject is as follows. So why do we not empower? Because problem is we want to keep a dog and bark ourselves. Okay? So that's where the problem begins.
Yes.
So we need to learn that we need to allow the dog to bark. Otherwise, it'll forget how to bark and you'll be left barking. Okay? So that's one. Point number 2. There is a very, very thin line between delegation and abdication. And that's the leader's discretionary ability to differentiate between the two. Where your intervention is required, you do not abdicate it. But where it can be done, you must delegate. And delegation comes with a lot of empowerment. Okay? So I think the problem starts with us because we are not able to clearly differentiate. And because we want to somehow hang on to power or control, and therefore it nudges us, it forces us to seek that, and we tend to not empower. But trust me, once you start doing it, everything else falls in place. They make mistakes, that's okay. That's not the end of the world. But to think of it, what do you gain out of it? Your people rise to their potential, your productivity goes up, and the most important, you can go back home in time. Okay.
That's a good one. I see Ms. Amandeep also nodding away to some of the points which Mr. Roy this thing. So would you like to add something to the point?
No, I think I'll just summarize a bit what they've said because it's so rightly. First, I think we use this terminology empowerment very loosely, I feel that. But I think he rightly mentioned the problem starts here. We tell that you are empowered and then we give 10 steps. You are empowered to achieve X, follow Y steps to achieve X. Now, it might be coming out from a leader's, you mentioned that, that I want to hold the power or want to take or I want to tell you I'm more smarter. And, or it can be from the leaders in security, what if the output is not great? What if we end up not achieving X? People are smart, they see this. So coming, and then moving to the point which they both mentioned, empowerment is all about creating a safe place. Safe place, as I mentioned, it's our duty to create a vision for the team, tell them this is the vision, and then give them a safe place that you are empowered to do those tactical whys with our guidance and try to achieve X, and I am there with you to achieve X. Even if we fail in a bargain, this terminology, we, is important here, that in the bargain, even sometimes we don't achieve X, your inputs are appreciated. Now, what are we doing here is that these X steps that they've taken on their own, aligning to achieve vision Y, or other way around, whatever I said, is giving them a safe space, helping them to grow, because in the bargain they're thinking, they're applying themselves, they're using the strategy. All this together defines the word empowerment, which we sometimes feel as a leader tend to use very loosely. I think this summarize, and this is my thought process on this whole.
Yeah, I can see Mrs. Shah wants to add to this.
I'm just going to share one of the kind of an example I can say. So I had one of my team member who had joined in-room dining. It was his 7th day in the hotel, and obviously he had induction and day off, and then actually first day at work, and it was his first day in in-room dining doing an evening shift. One of the long-staying guests calls from the room and says that he has got a bottle of wine and he inquired about a cheese platter. Now the associate mentioned that the price of the cheese platter is this, and maybe the guest would have found the platter too expensive, so he just called for a side dish. Now this associate, when the side dish went, he sent a small platter of cheese with a small note mentioning that since you're having a wine, let me offer you a cheese from my side. And the guest was amazed. The guest checked out and he sent an email mentioning that he never expected this, and it was like a wow. Now this is kind of empowerment which comes from within, and but this would have got killed. Just imagine if he would have approached his chef and chef would have said that I'm not going to give it complimentary. So but that was well placed, right from each level of service, and it came out really well. And I feel this is what empowerment is all about.
Empowerment is all about, yeah. I'll come to that about, in the one of the slides here. What is the policy that you follow in your hotel for open communication, where an employee can come and tell you that, look, there's a problem. And of course, especially when Ms. Amandeep was talking about a safe place, safe place for our women associates. So what is your insights on that? Creating safe, inclusive environments in your hotel.
Okay, so for creating safe, inclusive environment in a hotel, it has more to do with the previous topic that we spoke. It talks about the culture of the place. So, and it has to be there. It flows down to the hierarchy. So it is not only at one level, it has to be across all the levels is what, drives it. And talking about them, there are a lot of things which actually, creates it for the open communication. It is basically how you communicate with your team member, how you listen to them, how you allow them to express themselves, how you probably normalize their mistakes, defining it to a new opportunities for them. It is, as Ms. Amandeep also said, it is about the psychological safety of that place and the culture which has been driven by the leader of how approachable you are as a leader. And it is not only how approachable you as a leader is in the unit, it has to be, you have to ensure that that culture is there down the line, all the leaders. It has to be there. That's when, you will have a much open communication about each and every topic. You have to value your team member, and as a team, that's when probably you'll have the maximum productivity by simply just inculcating this culture. So it actually plays a very, very important role of having an open communication and a non-bias. One more important thing is you need to point out the biasness and stop it at the source.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about
Mr.
it.
Shiva would like to talk about open communication.
So I would just like to start by saying that, culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's something which I've always experienced and seen in my career. And, at the Hotel Royal Orchid Bangalore, what we have is, apart from having the mandatory POSH committee and the grievance redressal forums, we also have a direct hotline to our chairman. And any of the employees could drop in a WhatsApp or even call that number, and or also mail, if there is any kind of a challenge, with a promise that within 24 hours it will be reverted to. So I think this is something nice. And back in my days in Taj, we used to have the hotlines and we had the VOIPs, etc. And I think this also gives the top management an insight into what are the challenges that our frontline team members are facing. I absolutely agree with what Amandeep mentioned, creating a safety net, creating a very, very safe environment for our team members to prosper in their daily lives. And I think I would really emphasize more on that point, because unless you have that peace of mind to work and you feel safe, that is a big, big motivation. I get umpteen mails from my colleagues, good, bad, about various things in the hotel, and that's definitely an eye-opener. And again, it boils down to your leadership style, which can be situational based on different situations, but how open you are to, speak to your team members, be it over a cup of tea or in your town halls or just on your daily rounds that we all walk our hotels at least 2 to 3 times a day. It's how inclusive and how comfortable our team members face, to come up to us and share, if they're facing any problem. Thank you.
I'll come to you, Mr. Gupta, on talking of work-life balance in a 24/7 environment. So we have what is now known as a hustle culture. So, and we on the other hand also have a disconnect policy, which people are talking about. Mr. Narayan Murthy aside, I mean, he wants us to work all 7 days of the week. But so what are your thoughts on how can we champion work-life balance in our environment such as the hospitality industry, which is actually a 24/7 industry?
Well, when we say it's a 24/7 industry and we say work-life balance, we are actually contradicting ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, it's very important to see work-life balance, and we talk about hustling, we talk about certain leaders, what they said. I think a lot of things are taken out of context or in a wrong way. Like, for example, there was a statement made by one of the very big CEOs saying that if India wants to be where China is, we need to work for X number of hours a day continuously. Now, he was giving it's a paradox. I mean, he was just trying to explain that how many, I would say, hours of work are required. We have seen, we've come across, or let's say we have graduated from 1 off a week to 2 offs a week, graduated from 14 days of PL to 30 days of PL, XYZ, everything looks very nice on paper. I'm not sure if that's what we mean by work-life balance. A work-life balance, like you very rightly said, it's very important that we should. Some of the companies have a disconnect policy. I'm not sure if any hotel has it. My hotel doesn't have it. You know, people still, I mean, the leaders still get a call when there is a problem. Maybe because of their, I would say, inherent, I would say, scare that something should not go wrong, or inherent levels of responsibility. Howsoever, very simple steps which can help achieve that is, I mean, I've learned it not to ask the reason for why do you want to go on leave.
Yeah.
I see that it's a very stupid thing which a lot of our line managers, our senior managers and people have a habit of asking, why do you want to take a leave? I mean, quite honestly, if my boss asks, I'll ask him, what's your business to ask me, why do I take leave? I just want to sleep. You know, one is changing our attitude. Second is, why do we count hours?
Yeah.
Why don't we count productivity? You know, quite honestly, I might be sitting in a hotel for 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, but I don't think so I'm productive for more than 6 hours. If I'm able to work honestly for 6 hours, I would be happy. And that's what we say today at work. There are times what we have professed is, if you don't feel like, it's okay. Just sign off. I know this is a very tech culture, but I think it's very important even in our industry today, where we have a lot of emotional and physical stress. You know, it's not just mental stress, we also have a lot of hard physical labor. And it is understood that the banquets has to work for X number of hours a day and still be smiling and next day come back fresh, which is not correct. The second thing, I think, to maintain the work-life balance is compassion. We as leaders have to have more than enough compassion
Empathy.
and empathy to see how we can get those team members being a part, as we say, a part of the family, to make them really a part of the family. I'm reading a very interesting book. It's called High Trust Worth. And it talks about how a brand is created and how Hermes has created trust and work-life balance amongst their workers, where the first piece of any leather or anything which comes out only after 2 years of person working in that company for not more than 4 hours a day. So there are a lot of learnings. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. Gone are the days when we expect everybody, or when it was expected that people can work, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. It's very important to see that we are productive and we adhere to some basic norms, and every company has its own ways of looking at things. Thanks.
Ms. Amandeep, your thoughts on this? Especially we as women, we have the traditional role of also maintaining a life family balance.
Yeah. But before answering the question that you asked, I'll say for me, it's like work-life balance applies to everybody, even in men. I have an HOD who has twins, who's a male, and I know what he puts in, to handle those twins. So I think that first has to change, because work-life balance has to be for everybody. Now, work-life balance, I have a view on this terminology itself, which I'll talk about later. But I think only one answer to this is how we incorporate the culture of of having that work-life balance is by demonstrating it. So if you'll ask me, do I go back home every day in that subscribed acceptable work hours? Not maybe every day, but I try to, and that intent is seen. I also demonstrate that if I leave, the hotel doesn't fall. I also demonstrate that I trust my team. I also demonstrate that I have my very, very strategic cover-up and replacement plans in place. I also demonstrate that when I'm not there, my success is reflected because you perform better, that I have groomed the team like that. So it actually has to be built in by demonstrating as a leader that you mean this work-life balance, and for everybody. Gone are those days. We've grew up in a culture in a hotel, and that was not the bad space to be in. People loved the industry, enjoying the glamour, standing in the lobby in the evening. It was fun. Things have changed. It's high time we change too. Tell the team that if you mean work-life balance, I mean it too. If you respect that, I respect that too. And how will I incorporate? I'll demonstrate it. That work-life balance does not mean that I abdicate, I leave the job because work-life balance means I have my strategy and plan in place that the work will continue to move beautifully. He rightly mentioned, let's just stop moving away by calling this industry 24/7, calling this industry, oh, you'll have to work 15 hours. Are you ready? Kind of a more statement. So I think that's one. Secondly, all my HODs, I wish they were here, my resident manager, everybody can vouch. Second demonstration, I don't call them. On their off days, either only by mistake, if I dial their number, I say sorry and keep the phone. I do not call them, sorry to bother you, can I take a minute also? That's a principle. Usually we say, oh, we don't want to disturb you on our off day, but we call them and we say, hey, sorry to bother you, can I take a minute? I didn't mean to disturb you. No, I don't do that as well.
Yeah.
I don't do that as well. I make sure that, like I do it for myself, they do it for themselves as well, that their backup is placed in their absence. Whatever follow-up had to happen, there's somebody in the place they've trained, groomed, or have a handover. Because next day they'll have it for sure if they're not. So I'll not call them, sorry you didn't do that on that day, but next day they'll definitely have that. So yeah, I think demonstrating what you mean will make a cultural difference, not in ITC hotels. ITC hotels have done a lot. We actually in our morning meetings, function-wise monitor, and that can be seen by anybody, anytime. How many hours, man-hours are being... So that's a strategic part of handling it. But I think, again, everything boils down to intent, everything boils down to the culture and everything. So I know a lot of leaders say, oh, I believe in work-life balance, but I work 20 hours in a day. I don't think that works. You are not, again, going back to, you're not creating that safety net. What will my leader think? He says, he's very empathetic, or she's very empathetic, but poor thing, she is working 20 hours. What will she think if I leave in 9 hours, I think I'll be counted as underproductive. So I think please demonstrate. I think first as a leaders, as an industry leaders, we should show and demonstrate work hours, what we feel is the right work hours. I don't want to define, put hours and terms, anything on that in this stage. But demonstrate that work will run beautifully if you're planned, if you have your backups, if you've groomed the successor line, if you have your growth systems in place which are working for you. You know, so I think, that's
a
my
term-
very strong belief.
That's
in
a
that.
term we use in the PPT, visible commitment, demonstration. Mr. Roy, would you like to add? Like, I mean, we'll be winding up soon, so you can just put in your thoughts.
So, like what Aman said, and I completely agree with her. So, one is, it's very fashionable to talk on this topic in forums like this and go back home and do exactly the opposite. Okay? That's one. Why does it happen? Point number one, because we haven't learned to delegate enough. Why don't we delegate? Because we don't have trust and faith in the competence of our reporters. Why we do not have trust and faith? Because we haven't groomed them for it. We haven't trained them enough. And because we haven't trained them enough, we haven't groomed them, so what happens is we shy away, or we are guilty of not making them responsible and accountable. So the moment you groom people in the right frame, you give them the responsibility, you make them accountable, and you instill a sense in them that you are hired for job completion, not for time completion. Okay? And then everyone has their job cut out, their scope of work cut out, and that's where work-life balance, I think, that's the first step towards achieving that. And I can say it with a lot of conviction. I worked as an executive chef of one of the largest hotels in the country, with 10 kitchens, 500 room. And at times, people made fun of me because I left at 7 sharp, okay? Now that I've graduated, I leave at 6. And I feel very comfortable when I skin doing that. So it's all about perspective, and it's all about creating an ecosphere and culture. And yes, will things go wrong? Of course they will go wrong. But you need to have the gumption and the courage to
learn by trial and error. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
That's my.
Ms. Sinha, you would like to add something to this about work-life balance?
I will probably summarize what all the leaders have said. This is my personal thought again, what I feel. Work-life balance is probably the most crucial thing in retaining staff under current circumstances that is going on.
Absolutely.
So you master that art good, you will have less attrition in your hotel. And that is something that's actually the need of the hour, considering the phase in terms of manpower,
The
what we are
manpower
going
crunch, yeah, right.
through. And yes, as Mr. Gupta said, when it is very difficult, you know, in especially our industry, to have a proper balance, you know, work-life balance. But then that is something that used to be a culture before. But with the new Gen Z coming up, they literally are embracing these thoughts. And it is about time that we leaders have to understand and, you know, follow that and take us ahead in getting that properly done. That's what the way ahead is.
Mr. Shah?
I have a little different thought. So it's all about passion. So I think if you're passionate, then there's nothing which is called as work-life balance. I actually have my chef who's there. He's joined me. He starts his day at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's there till the time he wants to be there. So there is no boundary for him that if he's come at 8 o'clock, he's going to go at 5 o'clock. And that's the passion he carries every day. You know? So I feel very proud when I see him every day. And he leads by example, and that's how his team does as well.
And all I can say is that Chef has been the same way for the last 20 years that I've known him.
Yeah, here you go. So it's all about passion. Yes, work-life balance, that's the most spoken topic these days. Obviously, because you need to cut off yourself. So all the brands are coming up with overtime, like Kaur has started with overtime, so there is, you work for 9 hours, and if you still have to work for extra hours for whatever reason, you still get paid for. But yeah, there are a lot of, all the brands are coming up with things to bring that balance between work and life.
Amandeep, that we would finish by 3:45.
So I honestly believe that there's a life that exists after work. And for me, I think I've learned it the hardest way anyone could. I'm a cancer survivor, and I used to work 20 hours a day, more than 15 years back. And when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was largely because of my stress levels. And then I moved across verticals, and it was a very conscious decision for me to instill that thing back in me. So I did a stint with Google, and at Google we used to work 5 days a week. Weekends were always off. All the Googlers used to shut shop at 4 p.m. I've done 2 years with education, and I'm back to hotel, having worked with international brands which are doing a wonderful job in terms of doing 6 offs in a month. I mean, like back in the days. I'm still struggling to see what I can implement in an Indian homegrown brand, which is very, very different. So a few things come to my mind is job rotation, moving my team members across different facets to ensure that they are relatively lesser stressed in their job roles, ensuring that they get and take their offs on times, and making a little bit of fun environment at work. Well, in a very typical Indian hospitality brand, it's very, very difficult to make sudden changes and propose like 6 offs, in a month. It's quite challenging. But yes, in our own small ways, we can take those baby steps to ensure that we are able to reduce those stress levels, have that fun at work, do a little bit of job rotations, and who knows, we will be able to make some changes going forward. Thank you.
So that was a very insightful discussion. I hope there was a lot of key takeaways for the audience from here. I would request Mr. Datta from our team to give our guests a little memento from us. Thank you for being with us today evening, especially Ms. Amandeep. She couldn't make it last year, but I made sure that she could please come. Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Vinesh Gupta. Can we have those claps, please? Thank you. Ms. Amandeep Kaur. Mr. Anirudhya Roy. Oh, we would like a group picture, please. Mr. Parag Shah. We would ask you all to wait, please. We just want a group photograph. Here. Datta. Parag. Mr. Somnath Sinha. Mr. Sinha. And Mr. Gaurrav Shiva. We'll ask the panelists for a group photograph, and you can stand in the front with your plaques, it'd be great. Yeah, first one for the magazine. Without me. Yeah. Thank you, Datta. Group photograph.